Hey, what is up everyone? It's David here. There are three things I think we should pay attention to for the rest of this week in the markets. So I want to share those three things with you. And then there are quite a bit of conversation around whether A2 milk have finally bottomed. So I want to give my take on that as well. As usual, this video is not financial advice or recommendation to do anything. It's just general information for entertainment purposes. And as many of you have requested, let's bring back the Now, the three things as a retail investor that I pay attention to are generally economics, earnings, and also the crypto markets. That's only if you're interested in crypto. Now, with economics, there's quite a few key events happening this week. If you're interested in the Asian market, China will be releasing their industrial production retail sales data sometime today. I haven't had a chance to read it, so not too many comments on that. Now, besides that, Australia will be releasing our employment data for April on Thursday. So that'll be really good to see whether we are going back on track when it comes to our employment numbers. And then finally, this is more of a side note, that RBA and also the Fed will be publishing the minutes from April when it comes to their decisions. Now, generally speaking, I like to read it from time to time just because these minutes help us understand the information, the observations that they are making to arrive to the decision of either hiking rates or keeping rates the same. And we already know what the decision is. So from my perspective, I just like to read it to understand the economic developments that they are seeing, financial markets, both domestically and internationally, especially around stability. When it comes to earnings for the Australian companies, especially the big four banks, they have already reported their earnings. So if you want me to dedicate a full video on that, just let me know in the comment section below or gently smack the like button. Because I know that I've done quite a few videos on the banks last year. I'm just not sure if you are still interested in something like that. I have already updated some of my research when it comes to the banks. These are very light research, by the way, not institutional grade type stuff. And I've already shared my thoughts with my patrons. So yeah, if you are interested in the banks, just let me know. On the US side of things, there's quite a few earnings calls that's on everyone's list. Like for example, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, and also Target are part of the reopening trade. So I'll be tuning into some of them just to keep myself posted on what's actually happening in the economy. Because I think that when it comes to earnings from these companies, it's almost a better economic indicator than the forecasts. In the crypto world right now, things are incredibly turbulent. But then again, when are things ever not turbulent in the crypto world? So things really got started when Tesla decided to no longer accept Bitcoin as a form of payment for their electric vehicles. The main rationale is the increased energy consumption, especially from fossil fuel sources. And speculation got even more rampant as Elon replied back to this tweet with Indeed. As I was editing this new video, Elon actually confirmed that Tesla have not sold any more Bitcoin since the last time. So I just wanted to quickly jump in here. Now, everything is still speculation, rumor mode, because we don't actually know whether Tesla have actually offloaded their Bitcoin position. My take on this whole situation is that my thesis in Tesla was not about them holding Bitcoin. It was about electrification of transportation. I like what they're doing with manufacturing. I like what they're doing with battery chemistry. I like what they're doing with their electric vehicles. So whether they hold Bitcoin or not, it doesn't change my perspective. And on top of that, I want to remind myself and also you that Bitcoin is just an instrument for these companies to protect their short-term treasuries or cash from inflation, or they could use it to facilitate transactions. But at the end of the day, it's a tool for these companies to achieve their objective. Since then, the Bitcoin price have corrected quite substantially to about 43,000 USD. Now, the silver lining in this whole situation is that, as many of you know, I have dedicated a very small percentage of my portfolio in Bitcoin late last year. And since then, I have not had an opportunity to add more into the market because everything in the crypto world seems to have gone to the moon and some more. So with this correction, if it's happening to Bitcoin, it's definitely also happening to Ethereum because they tend to follow each other. So this is giving me a great opportunity to look more closely into the crypto market, especially in Bitcoin and Ethereum, because those are the only two things I'm interested in, and see if there's an opportunity for me to add some more. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is A2. There's been a lot of conversation on whether A2 have bottomed, so I just want to share my perspective on that. At the peak of A2, it was trading at around $19.83. And since then, it has lost approximately 73% of its value. It's currently trading at a 4.48 billion market cap. And throughout this period, there was just a lot of hurdles for A2. Most of it is very much out of their control, where the borders are closed, the Daigou channel have completely dried up, and there was some excess inventory issues as well. So they really haven't been able to catch a break. So what I want to do is I want to go through their most recent trading update and just pick out a few things to share my perspective on. In this trading update, they've talked about priorities, they've talked about what actions they will take, and also they'll provide guidance as well. My first impression on this trading update is that in the short to medium term, they'll have to deal with excess inventory issues, which is fair enough. On top of that, they will continue to invest in marketing to drive consumer demand, and they still very much remain confident in the long-term opportunity that the infant nutrition market in China presents. With excess inventory, I think this is a transitory issue, because who would have thought a pandemic would have shut down our borders for this long and it would impact us in this particular way. I think a lot of businesses would have learned from this and they'll get better at it over time. So I'm not too concerned about excess inventory. When it comes to the opportunity in China, I think the A2 brand is still very much intact, because before the pandemic, if I was to go home to visit my relatives in China, it was definitely a tradition for me to go grab some A2 milk powder as a form of a gift for my relatives. In saying that, I think A2 have definitely recognized the evolving relationship between Australia and China, not to mention there is a decline in birth rates in China as well. Now, they still believe very much in the China infant nutrition opportunity, but I am more keen to learn about what is the vision when it comes to their growth strategy moving forward. Are they going to continue to go for this opportunity in China, or are they going to try and crack open the market in the US or Southeast Asia? Because in Southeast Asia, the GDP growth is quite nice, if you will. But honestly speaking, A2 just cannot catch a break. Recently, they have also announced that Peter Nathan has resigned from his role as Chief Executive Asia Pacific, but will remain with the business for some time to ensure a smooth and orderly transition. Peter Nathan was a key character in the A2 story, especially with A2 Platinum entering into China. So having him transition out of his role definitely doesn't help. Before I talk about A2's guidance, they are thinking about a potential share buyback. Now, when it comes to share buybacks, the way I think about this is that if you do a share buyback, yes, it will enrich shareholder value, but besides that, what else is it going to do? Is the business getting better? No. You also can't promise that the shareholders will stay, right? On the other hand, if you use that money to grow the business and put A2 back on its growth trajectory, wouldn't that attract more shareholders and keep your existing ones? So for me, I don't know if the share buyback right now is more of a marketing tactic to keep their shareholders. Let me know what you think. In terms of guidance, A2 is saying that they will generate approximately $1.2 to about $1.25 billion in FY21. Now, the reason why that's a downgrade and people panicked a little bit more is that just a few months ago, they actually provided guidance that they will generate approximately $1.4 billion for FY21. That's enough chit chat about the business. I want to talk about valuation, and then I want to share some final comments on the company. Now, a lot of you have asked, what is this tool I'm using? It's called Ticker, and it's a free tool. I'm not sponsored. I've actually made a full video on all of the tools that I use, so I'll leave a link in the description box below as well. When it comes to valuation, just search for A2 and then go to the valuation tab, and then I like to look at the forward EV EBITDA. Now, you can look at EV revenue if you want, but this is such a mature company. I don't like to look at EV revenue for these companies. And if we stretch it to about 3 years to 5 years, you can do 5 years if you want to, you can see that the average forward EV EBITDA is about 21 times and is currently trading at around 16.5 times. If we take this number at face value, then it means that it's trading below historical average and it could present an opportunity. However, we do know that there are a lot of headwinds A2 is facing. And I personally, even at this valuation, I do not feel comfortable without knowing what is their future growth strategy. Like, I would just want to know, how are you planning to expand and get back on growth trajectory? If we look at the historical performance of A2, they've always been a really well-run company. So if you go to estimates, and then we stretch the timeline a little bit, just that we can get some historical numbers. Let's look at revenue.
Let's look at EBITDA, and then let's look at free cash flow. And you can see that, besides 2021 to 2022, things have been going really great for A2. So from a management standpoint, it's obvious that, without great management in place, you wouldn't have been able to do this. The question now is, are you able to do the same again from this point onwards? And for me personally, I would much prefer to wait until I see a clearer growth strategy before I make a decision.
So what do you think about A2? Do you think they've bottomed, or is there more to go? And also, what do you think about this whole talk around them doing a share buyback? Also, I recently created a video on how I screen for high quality stocks to go onto my watch list. That will be an incredible video to watch next. So thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If you want to support the channel, not to mention access to additional content pieces and be part of my fortnightly Q&A, consider supporting the channel via Patreon. Nevertheless, if you have learned something new, remember to gently smack the like button right there, subscribe to my channel so that when I release future videos, you be the first one to know. Until next time, my name is David. Otto will always do the honors, and see you very, very soon.